Dabo met with reporters. Actually, was on the ACC Network road trip, and they covered a little bit of ground. One of the things with LSU Clemson that we've talked so much about the LSU side. As we get closer to the game, we're going to start to talk more about the Clemson side of it all. Clemson was a college football playoff team a year ago, but they weren't without flaw. Remember, they lost 34-3 to Georgia. They lost to Louisville on their home field. They lost on their home field to South Carolina 17-14. And they got in the playoff, as we've talked about, because Miami choked against Syracuse, which allowed Clemson to sort of backdoor their way in. And then they won the ACC championship game against SMU, where SMU actually had a shot at a field goal at the end of the game. Could have won it, but it was 34-31 was the final in that ball game. Where if you remember, Clemson got up big, and then they were up 24-7. Then SMU stormed all the way back to tie the game, and then Clemson won it on a 56-yard field goal there as time expired to win it 34-31 and go to the college football playoff. But defensively, Clemson has had a lot of talent, but they were really poor a year ago in spots, especially against the run. They ranked in the 50s. They were actually ranked in the 90s nationally in yards per rush allowed. So that was a team that had talent, but the talent didn't necessarily live up to the standard that they had set. So they've got a new defensive coordinator here at Clemson this year in Tom Allen, and Dabo kind of talked about what he wants from his defense this year.
We gave it to me big plays. I mean, just, did not stop the run well. Probably our worst big play defense that we've had. I mean, we're just too many explosives, and so we've got to minimize that. People will make big plays, but we just got to get back on track, get back to our standard of what we were. And quite frankly, the year before we were top 10 in the country. So we can't be so inconsistent. And then we've got to be better in the red zone as far as giving up touchdowns. It's one thing people make a big play, and that don't mean they get a touchdown. Right. So in particular, those are two areas, and just doing the little things better than we did last year. We didn't tackle. We weren't a great tackling team. That showed up really in game one last year. We missed some critical tackles. So got a lot to get better at on that side for sure.
They were 64th in yards allowed per play and 90th nationally, giving up 5 yards per carry. And as Dabo talked about giving up the big play, similarly on the offense, they didn't connect on the big play a bunch. Cade Klubnik averaged under 12 yards of completion, which was 79th nationally. Klubnik was third in the country in passing touchdowns, but they just didn't hit big plays last year. So some of the things Clemson is working on their side going in, but Tom Allen's a guy that's got SEC experience. He was at Ole Miss there under Hugh Freeze in like 12, 13, 14. And now after being the former head coach at Indiana, this past year was the defensive coordinator at Penn State. Now comes to Clemson, and Dabo talked about Tom Allen's impact.
I mean, he's just the same guy every day. I mean, he loves what he does. He loves ball, and that's why I hired him, because I mean, there's a lot of people that know ball, but I wanted the right leader, and I just felt like he was the right leader to help me reset the room, not just for the players, but for the coaches too. And he's just done an awesome job of that. And again, it's the same every day. And I think that resonates to those guys, and they bought in, and then there's no compromise. Mm-hmm. I mean, he has a lot of conviction in what he believes as far as the fundamental things that we got to do to be a great defense, and that shows up every day.
It is fair to mention that Tom Allen had success last year at Penn State, but there have been times his defenses haven't been great, and there were a lot of not great years at Indiana. He had 2 winning seasons, but there was a couple of 2-win seasons in there as well, and the defenses weren't very good, so might feel like still a bit to prove with a new defensive head going in there against what should be a pretty formidable LSU offense if they can figure out that offensive line rotation. So plenty more obvious about LSU and Clemson as we get closer to kickoff on the 30th. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.